Hello everyone! In this video, I am going to compare the three main plans for ClassIn. So this video is actually inspired by a post that was on the ClassIn Facebook page, unofficial Facebook page, and there was a discussion about the paid versus the free plans, and I could easily see there's definitely still some confusion about what's included in those different plans and the pricing for those different plans. So I'm hoping that this video will help clear that up just a little bit for those people that don't understand the differences. Also, I don't work for ClassIn. I am not trying to convince anybody to pay for ClassIn. In fact, if you can use the free plan, I definitely encourage you to use it. Saving money is always the best option. So first of all, let's take a look at what the names of those three plans are. So of course we have the free plan, then the one up from that is the pro, and then one up from that is the business. There's actually a fourth plan, which is the school plan, but that is more for bigger businesses that hire teachers to teach their students, the businesses students, and the school's curriculum. So that's not going to be me, and that's probably not going to be any of you. I'm focusing this on individual teachers or tutors like myself. So I'm only going to look at the three plans designed for individual teachers. So first of all, we're going to talk about the classes. The class capacity. So how many students can be in a class? With the free plan, technically, you can have 50 students in a class. So when you go in and you hit create class, you can add 50 students to that class. When you make a lesson, 50 students can go into that lesson. But this is where it's important to look at. You can only have 3 on stage. So even though there's 50 students in there watching you, you can only see and interact with 3 of them at a time. So really, it's 3 students per class because the way that we're teaching, we want them all to be able to interact. So I don't want 40 something students just watching and listening and they can't interact with me or the other students. So 3 on stage, 50 can view. And then you go to the pro, it's also 50, the same like the free. 50 students can enter, but you have a little bit more that can be on stage. So 6 students you can visually see, they can see you, you can interact with them, they can interact with the classroom. 6 students. And then you go to the business, and of course it increases. You can have 300 students in a class, but 12 can be on stage. So that increases a little bit more. So if you are a teacher who teaches group classes, more than 3 students, you would most likely need to upgrade to the pro or the business. But if you only teach 1 student, 2 students, or 3 students, you can just stick with that free plan. And then we have the lesson number. This is actually interesting because I learned something new when I was researching for this video. So the lesson number means how many lessons per class. So when you create class, that's that list you see on the left side of your screen. And then when you click on that, you have to add your individual lessons with a specific date and time. So the classes that you can create is unlimited. So I can make as many classes as I want. For the free, you can only add 20 lessons per class. So that would be the date and time, the actual lessons that you're creating. But does that mean after that 20 lessons, you can't teach that student anymore? Of course not. All you have to do is create a new class and then add 20 more lessons under that class. So it's a little bit more time consuming because every 20 you have to create a new class. But it's still unlimited. It just takes a little bit more time to have to do. I used to do it like monthly. Amy October, make her lessons for October, Amy November. That way it was a little bit more organized for me and it looked organized for the student and they couldn't tell, oh, she just ran out of lessons. They can't tell. They just think, oh, it's a new month, it's a new class. And then we go to the pro, which is also unlimited classes, but you get 200 lessons per class. And this was actually new to me. I thought it was unlimited. I've always seen unlimited, but when I did my research, it's actually 200, which is a lot. It will take a long time for me to fill 200 lessons in a student's class. But then eventually I will have to make a new class for that student. But it saves me a little bit more time. It's more convenient because I'm not doing it every 20 lessons. And then the business is the same as the pro. Unlimited classes, 200 lessons per class. Now, lesson duration. This is another important one that will determine which plan you want to use. For the free, it is only 40 minutes per class, and then you're cut off. So I do know some teachers that teach longer than 40 minutes. What do? They just create 2 classes back to back. They might, if they teach an hour, they create a class for 30 minutes, take a break, come back in, do a second class for another 30 minutes. So it is possible, but again, it's just not as convenient. And then you go to the pro and you get 3 hours per class. So if you teach longer classes and you want that convenience of having just one lesson, one class to make for that student, pro would be better option for that. And then the business, 24 hours per lesson. I don't know anybody who's going to be teaching a 24-hour long lesson, but it's possible. So this is another thing to look at carefully when you're determining which plan you want to use. But if you only teach 25, 30-minute class, 40-minute class, free is obviously the way to go there. The management portal. So a lot of people don't even know what this is. So if you have the free plan, you don't have a management portal. You can log in, but there's nothing there. So the management portal is also called the dashboard. That would be like if you log in through the ClassIn website. So this is not a part of your app where you teach. It's actually going online, going to classin.com, I believe. I don't know what the website is off the top of my head. And then you log into your account. And then you have your dashboard or your management portal. So again, free doesn't have anything on there. The pro has a very limited management portal. I've never had the pro plan, so I don't know exactly what's in there, but from what I've read in my research, you have like you can check your financial, like how much money you have remaining on your account. I think you can see the recordings for your students and the lessons, but there's not really a whole lot you can do in there. But when you go to the business, you get the full management portal. There is a lot to do. I don't even know everything that's in there. I haven't had time to look at it all. So I just highlighted 2 things that I think are the most important for the business plan in the management portal. The first is the batch scheduling. This is a big time saver for teachers who teach a lot of students. So for the pro and the free, you have to log in on your app and you have to enter each lesson individually. Even if the student takes the same class at the same time every week, same time, you have to enter each one. And that can take a long time, especially if you teach a lot of students. With the management portal, with the business, you do exactly what it says, batch. So you choose, you have the student, the time and the date, and you say how many you want, up to 50, and it will create those lessons all the way through the months for you. You don't have to do them individually. Big time saver there. Customize your classroom. I made a video about this, so if you're interested in what that means and what it looks like, you can watch that video about the business plan classroom. But basically, you can change your skin. So with the free and pro, you can manually add a skin background for your class. But with the business, you can set it to where it automatically sets the skin for each class. You don't have to do it manually. You can also change the buttons, like the buttons under here. You can change the trophy. There's different types of trophies. You can turn off the student's ability to scroll the blackboard, which can be annoying for some students. You can turn off their ability to close the courseware, which just means exit. They can still change the slides, but they can't exit out of the courseware. And again, there's many different things under that, but I can't go into detail right now, but watch my video about that if you are interested. So this is a big convenience feature for the business. So I don't need the batch scheduling. I don't really need to customize my classroom, but it helps me. It's something I want. It helps save me time, but I don't really need it. So Depends on your needs and what works for you. And then the cloud recording. So cloud recording just means the recording is automatically set. It starts recording automatically, and it saves to ClassIn, and the parent can go in and watch the class recording on ClassIn. So with the free, of course, you don't get that cloud recording, but you can still record your class. You just have to do it manually, which is that recording button up here. I can record the class, but I have to remember. That was my big problem when I had the free. Sometimes I forgot to start the recording. And then you have to say it saves to your computer, and then you have to send it to the parent. So I can still do it. It just takes more time. With the Pro, you get the cloud recording, but there is an additional fee. So it's 1 RMB per hour, which 1 RMB is about 15 cents US dollars. So 15 cents per hour, but you don't have to do it. So it's an add-on. So if your parents don't want the recording, or you just don't offer that to your parents because you don't want to pay the fee, just don't do it. And then you don't pay that 15 RMB or the 1 RMB per hour. But it's also, you're not paying 1 RMB if you only teach 30 minutes. It actually charges you for the time that is actually recorded. So if you only teach 30 minutes, you will only be charged 0.5 RMB per hour, which is nice. Or if you only teach 15 minutes, it'll only charge you for that 15 minutes that you actually record, which is really nice. And then you go to the business. You also have the cloud recording, but it's more expensive for some reason. It's more expensive than the Pro. So for the business, you pay 2 RMB per hour, which is 30 cents per hour. But again, I only teach 30-minute class, well, 25 minutes, but sometimes I go over. So usually I'm only spending 15 cents because I teach about 30 minutes. So it's not a huge cost, but it is an additional cost. But again, it's convenience. You don't have to worry about saving it or starting the recording. You don't have to worry about sending it to the parent. It's all in ClassIn done for you. And then the big one is the price. I need some water. So, of course, the free version is free. You don't pay anything. Going to the Pro, it is 5 RMB per hour per student, which is about 75 cents in US dollars. But again, you don't pay 5 RMB if you only teach a 30-minute class. But this is by 30-minute time periods. So if you teach only 15 minutes, you still get charged for 30 minutes. So keep that in mind. So it would be 2.5 RMB per hour, or for a 30-minute class per student. So if you teach 2 students, obviously it would be 5 RMB. So 2.5 per half hour per student, or 5 RMB per hour per student. But the way ClassIn does their payment structure, it's not like a monthly subscription like most things that we're used to. They actually have, it's called a top up, I believe is what they call it. So you pay one large amount, and then they deduct as you teach. I'm not sure if this is the accurate amount. This is what I saw when I went to the website. It showed 100 RMB up front, and then I think you got 500 RMB for free. I don't know if that's still going on, but the Pro is a lower upfront fee. So 100 would be about $15. So let's say you had 600 RMB in your account. Then every time you teach a class, it'll subtract the fee for the student. It'll subtract the fee for the recording, student, recording, and it'll just deduct until you have no money left. You have to either add more money or be done. So that is the option for the Pro. Now let's take a look at the business. So this is where it's actually confusing. I was surprised when I saw this. I was like, wait a minute, the business is actually cheaper per student. So for a one-on-one, so just one student, one teacher, it's 2 RMB per hour per student, which is about 30 cents. Again, if you only teach a 30-minute class, it'll just be half of that. So it'll be 1 RMB or 15 cents. So I teach a 25-minute class, so I would only pay 1 RMB per student. If you teach group classes, so if you teach 2 to 12 students, that's your max, it is 4 RMB per hour per student. Again, if you teach 30-minute classes, it'll just be half, 2 RMB or 30 cents. So both options here, even if you teach group classes, is cheaper than the pro plan. So why? Why on earth is the business plan cheaper than the pro plan? Well, this is why. It's a larger upfront cost. So for the business, I have to pay 2,000 RMB upfront, which they had me pay $320. So if you are like me and do the math on your phone and do the conversion, you will see 2,000 RMB is actually closer to $300. But they told me they do 320 because of fluctuation, conversion, blah, 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 whatever. I just paid the 320. So again, you pay that 2,000 RMB, and then for each class you teach, they deduct, recording, student, until you have to add more money to your account. So both plans you have to pay for. One has a higher upfront cost, lower per student cost. The pro has a lower upfront cost, higher per student cost. So you might be thinking, so which one is best for me? Well, that's going to depend on a few things. So if you look at the math of how much you would pay, so this is an example for myself. I teach just 1 student per class. I teach 25 minutes, and for most of my students, I do a recording. So if I was using the pro plan, I would end up paying this amount, 3 RMB or 45 cents per student. With the business plan, I'm only going to pay 2 RMB per student or 30 cents per student. Obviously, you think, well, obviously the business plan is better, but remember that higher upfront cost. Let's say you're a teacher who only teaches 5 classes a week or less. You have to do the math. Think, how long will it take me to use up $320 or 2,000 RMB? It might take you 2 or 3 years to use up all that money. And some of us don't know what we're going to be doing in 2 to 3 years. Will I still be tutoring in 2 to 3 years? I have no idea. So that might not be a good option because you have to really think about that long-term commitment that you're making with paying for the business plan. So then the free, of course, always look at that free option, is going to be good, or the pro plan. So determining between free and pro is going to come down to convenience or need for more students per class. If you need more students per class, pro might be good. If you don't, the free might be perfectly fine for you. But if you are a teacher like myself that teaches a lot of students, then the business might not be that bad of a deal if you're looking for those convenience features between the pro and the business plan. So for me, with the number of students I teach, it'll take me about a year to burn through 2,000 RMB, which is not too bad. That's fine for me. I'm pretty confident that I will be tutoring at least for 1 year. So hopefully this chart will give you some clarity, some more understanding of A, what features you get with each of these plans, and B, what the actual cost is for each of these plans. And one thing that I did forget to mention is with the business and the pro, you get a free 20-minute buffer. So that means if I schedule my class for 25 minutes, but I go over by 10 minutes, which is 35, or if I go over by 15 minutes or 20 minutes, even though I'm over that 30 minutes for that payment for paying half of the hour fee, I only pay for 30 minutes still. So even if I go over by 10 or 20 minutes, I'm still only going to pay for myself, for my 1 student, the 1 RMB for the half hour. So that is nice, but you have to set the class time for 30 minutes or less. So if you teach a 30-minute class or a 40-minute class, you can set your class for 30 minutes. and only pay for the 30 minutes instead of paying for a full hour. So keep that in mind. That's a way to save a little bit of money. So if you still have questions, I hope this was not confusing. I was trying to make this clear and not confusing, but now that I'm looking at my crazy screen here, I'm wondering if I just confused you more. But if you still have questions, please ask me. I will try to answer them, but going to a ClassIn sales rep might be the easier option. They can give you a breakdown of the prices as well. So let me know if you have any questions. Bye, everyone.